Luchin the Nyam Chungwe, Yang Namching MS Sambas, Louis de Ene, Carsorta, Nyam Chung Siadeta, Yen Chung Chung Chigitana, Sermasologina, Shiginto Dugudwa, Louis de Gaia Kenla Duguar, Tinza, Cool. 또 전부지다 땐자와니는 봉주 지중그 가자다 말해야 돼. 고난을 니바데 시부시부 매하데 세부 소용고도. 얘는 괜춘춘 그더니 얘는 배 류매야 자르고 와래. 이때 인디가라 류하정 냠총 보다 두 삼당고 와래. 시린레 사당 룸부 야초 니마든 바레 세베 류인디 디다경 달와 냥니 류버 민기르나 신등염주 밀타 뮤직 살제다 그러니까 정일래 치다 수당 미시바 로부르다도 밥기로에 사다 제지 마제파 담베치라 쿠르텐제 세와다 디숭도 오다 딘리리가라 오네 말한조 치와싱인데 아다 당nen지 렌 당nen지였나 때들이 제지 거가 뛰나그러 봐 나한테 이거라 때리 야 말해 치와싱디 가티는 고 능증님의 인상 때문에 다때 뒤 유전이 전에 즉 최대 가서 두두지 에네 제거야 보다 독수전에 즉 송구하래 디산딘닌 디지자 자와밀라 상보민 남지 켜는 nengi르베 산데 데미자와운 제스 송소 서와다 딘디가라 다즉 말아줘 서로한 담이나 녀야데 자와 장랑이 더니 자왕한 바지 제바이나 데더니 서로한 운동할 낀도야 아니 자와 장보지 저네 데더니 서로와 대화기야 리두신데 자와 장한 돌로 투투 거라 다데 데인디가라 자와 장한다네 레장한 른디부 장한 와다 두스치네 그런 주도 제네 두스치네 용거와 와다 되게 즉 오네 즉 윤도 즉 가서 두두지 삼당 거야 되게 전부 잘 거래 다들 어니 레균데 그래서 되는 거라 되게 다 망보지 자와상한테 개발된 망보지 되는 통행도 가버려 그것도
The third point of this, the second point, the uncertainty of the time of death. The third point is on page 31, last paragraph. Thirdly, consider the uncertainty of time of death due to the extreme fragility of the body. So the understanding or contemplating on the weakness of human body. Fragile or the weak here refers to, it doesn't really matter how physically you are strong or the size, but just being a human body, it's very fragile. Even a small thing as a tone can become, the thing that can take away our life. And so the friendly letter says, if the earth, Mount Meru, the oceans, and embodied beings will be burned up in the blaze of 7 suns, so not even dust will remain, what need is there to speak of human fragility? So, the destruction, the disappearance of all those, ocean, mountains, can happen, then what's there to speak about this human body. And the next page, the letter to King Kanika says, the Lord of Death is no one's friend, and his attack is certain. So without putting it off until tomorrow, begin to practice the holy doctrine now. Again, the importance or emphasis on the timing of the practice, practicing right now, not kind of postponing, and because uncertainty of death, and especially the timing. If there is a sign or something that kind of that inform us that now your death is coming after such a period of time, then that might be helpful. That will kind of remind us, and that will inform us that now we don't have much time to live. But however, that's not the case with us. I mean, the topic itself here, the timing of the death, is very uncertain. We don't know when it will come. It can come at any time. So therefore, it's always kind of important to practice. It is not a good idea to put it off until another day, for the time will come when you no longer exist, and that could be tomorrow. So, kind of advice of the importance of practicing right now, as mentioned earlier, and not postponing into kind of future. So the
chudulche tene sadulche doschene dempe zamin chadela shibuji tsu dua jiyala da kalpa chunji yore menji yore lungji chene ene samden tangbu pan debaden jidinji kalpa menji gi samden kalpa menji chunji gi samden tangbu porton ji gresya menji gi lungji gi samden sumba porton ji gresya 아니 민지가 상대 집앞에 진지도 와. 대인들가 덜라다 인이로 와. 덜벨라다 인이래. 다대인들가 주길라게 상대 집앞으로 지기에나 다 맞아 단데 루이티 데이터 인다 때때 코네 삼 메모거래. 제나라 전에 순배나라 칼바 찬지긴 네츠데스 송도 텐디 송도 그래서 다 카시데 전리데 등거야 말대 단다 차상대당 지상대서 집어 지경 정도 세 경고를 송도 왔다 단다 전리 등염도 가면한테 가라
not only our human body is fragile and kind of weak, but when we look at the environment where we live, it's also considered as something very impermanent and fragile too. And when we talk about sort of the evolution of how this Earth or universe came into existence, we can see the series and the long evolution of coming into being. But we look at the destruction or the end of it. In Buddhist texts, it talks about the destruction at the end of eons by fire. 4 different elements, and they kind of how much they destroy. So the destruction, as compared to the coming into existence, it's much more sudden, much more stronger. So it can destroy up to the sort of realms of desire, God or deities, and of course, when we, in that sense or understanding, the human realm, it's really kind of nothing, and we find more of these, the coming into existence of this universe and how it get destroyed. At the end, we find this in the chapter 3 of the text Abhidharma Kosh. Although in that text, there are some which the interpretation is against the scientific understanding, but there are also some which includes the forming and the destruction. Is very much kind of accords with the scientific explanations.
어다들 다 숨바 추스 추마도 관계경 미동와 삼바스다 직 당어서 신도들가라 내가 공도 주주제네 숨보세야래 간진 중앙아 초 중앙 초바드네 쥐때다 남시 쥐때레든 루기 쥐때레든 남시 내용들가라 lui s'entende metteva macevata tila so signore kanji lui s'entende metteva chede döde ye eni pe namshi nesa me chaada eni tende metteva chego dini chua singde tati pungpode kan juwa nga chonde pungpode nga ta karo rosri cha 남시 데 주비야 꺄네 로디가라 따티 마미시와나신 텐사와니 차야 쉐비 윤디 당도 단단 데베 간달라 이게리기 자와 테 왕기 자와 장보제나 두번남시 당도 빠자자니 어다 자와 장보데 케네 애니야 문돌라다미 고팡 토비야 아니 데베 갈텔라 미가와 제디나 자왕 남베티 경기 아니 ngandongan 송기 레사야 오다 미가와 사니 ngandongan 송기야 다 마미 윤체바나진 땐자왕님 자요 말간지 시비 윤데 풍불을 땡윤데가 셰바다 라로테 아니 문드 그래야 왔지 아니 직 남시 땐데메와 체윤데가 리센 땐데메와 체윤데가 아니 풍부 셰바다 차루치니 이거 살세야 돼. 오다 셰바타모 타모티제니 다 두주칸도 케고나. 아다 주멜레 케이나 파르토 주고가 마레. 오다티 유모고단 제나 세버레. 야 가르사 강도 치와테오스 치와테가랑도 아니 배 주메 텐투고와. 오다 주당 주기 라당 덜라당 아니 미 돈로 텐데 케고나 엔테마 임바타 냐와이다 텐데케나 파르토규고와 파르토모킨 로사야 마레 오다 주메 치부마토 오다 라이네노 주메 치부마토 파르토규고와 파르토규모가도 주메 치부레 테마도 강가 땅 감숨 걸어와 가레나다데 파르토규고와 오다 두스치네 오다 디디 오다 시에네 제 최대 따따배 레상보데 자와 상보치긴데 디딘 펜도고 아래 세 송고하라 오다 티 송고하라 치외 세 년시수 논제 강경 미동 따뜻 문에로 왔다 나랑주 년 상보지나 레 유펜저지나 레 치월래 연도가라 밀로 다야 에라메라리 아랑그 저 상보지난 때라베 즉 바기 타마데 지지 미치다데니 때 로스젠다 리센텐데 메데와 첸도야 마도티 롤티야단 지제야 케민도 오데티 리가라 숭고도 야부게지 자넨도 정부 perka 자넨도 세데 오데 띵문이래 다스 샷 남시티 간라 게리기 빠차 가리나다 띠왕긴 로이나마도 랭잉이 자망 시야다 오다 땡비시리 띠왕도 로이나마도 텔라요 말에 다 레원 랭잉이 자망도 미다나 단당아서 고갑이야 단다 고갑대 단다 얼마다 디디 다 고갑대요 말에 오다 때리 까니케 팅이래 나민 짐바 문레짱 kø니 용수 당기로 서벨레당 젠라지 치다다니 템바이 에게당 디파 마토 로와 탐제 칠로니 가양 큐지 민라와 캠브런절레 레브르종 자와테베 세부송다 와다 따가레 알아서 기지 이티 지들라 답에 게와 신들라 간데 가르사네 게와 시디갈라타 자와데 제니 디부 대완 진기에나 Tita gawasi gore. Divu dingan jungin dale migawasi gore. Kanji gidi singde. Ngoyo nitsu done ko chik samlo nemboji tang 이 로다 철거되는 게 말이야. 오다 삼는 nem보다 공원이 직 지나고 묘에 더네 라트의 용인지 차대요. 어떻게
Now the third point, at the time of dying, only one thing that can be, helpful, and that is the doctrine or dharma or the teaching or your practice. When the different the elements which sustains or make us a body, when they came together with the consciousness, or when the consciousness and body are together, what we call living, and when they are separated, that is what we call dying. And the understanding here is that at the time of dying, of course, the body or the aggregate becomes what we call corpse, and but the consciousness here, it doesn't disappear. Or rather, it goes continuously to the next rebirth. And it depends on what kind of karmic activities that you have, created when you were alive in the past. And so, if you have created positive, good karmic action, based on that, you will take a better rebirth. And likewise, negative, non-virtuous, destructive karmic actions, takes you to the lower rebirth. So this consciousness, after parting away from, our body, becomes much more subtle, and we call it subtle consciousness. And among the three realms, if you are taking a rebirth into desire and form realms, then consciousness has to go through what we call intermediate stage. If one is taking a rebirth in the formless realm, then texts like Abhidharma Kosh, Treatise of Knowledge, says that as soon as you leave this body, you are already in the formless realm. One doesn't have to go through what we call intermediate stage. And so the text here says that at the time of death, our relatives, friends, body, and possessions are of no help. So when dying, nothing that actually, that we possess or we have really helps come into help. That includes here mentioned your relatives, friends, body, even your own body, and whatever wealth and possessions that you have. At the time of dying, the best way that you can do is just look at them and have a glance, and that's all you can do. You cannot in any sense kind of take your friends or relatives or bring your wealth into with you at the time of dying. You alone must kind of move forward. And at the time of dying, it doesn't make again any differences what kind of status that you hold during your lifetime. There's expressions such as the kingdom, when the king dies, he leaves behind his entire kingdom, and likewise when the poor person dies, he leaves what he has. So in terms of going forward in the process of death and dying, there's really no differences what you have done in accumulating wealth or status or fame. Then what will help in kind of your future journey is here it is mentioned as a doctrine or the dharma, the practice, that if there's some positive activities that you have created, then that, as mentioned earlier, leaves imprints on your sixth, what we call sixth or primary consciousness, and that will sort of determines what you are going to take a rebirth in the future life. So at the time of death, our relatives, friends, body, and possessions are of no help. The letter to King Kanika says, as the ripened fruit of past actions, you will be completely abundant. In accordance with your new actions, you will be seized by the Lord of Death. Nothing but your virtuous and misdeed will escort you. Since all will return to their destinies, no one will accompany you. Understanding this, please practice well. So it really comes down to what and how you have practiced in your when you are alive and healthy, because your practice, here mentioned about creating or accumulations or gathering of virtuous or positive or constructive, and on the other hand, the negative activities, destructive, behaviors, non-virtuous activities, and depending on these two, you have something that it will escort you. So if you have created positive activities, you have implanted the positive, you have imprints positive, seeds in your consciousness, subtle consciousness, and that will, escort you. So, kind of it says, understanding this, practice well.
Oda shiri zakata mitikyang lenchi chitar kyonjirkyang shenin jiden jenjungce nyangan tanla rajomtar jibu seme zumumin naza machi she machi gyalsi machi ka machi pame tuvung ngal lakyang jisu machi sam machi jizam nichi chidake jesungdawa mingawu dorna niki tsemayang detse mena jemichiku jesungbaltar sambatar chimbe chiwani nge namchini chamindu chiwezi chimeto kangi kyang midongwe tambe chutubarcha chugi nangne kyang janjugi sem ogombani rapsol gyurbe nyamdu nge prasamne janjugi te tamche kyang janjugi semju yalato shebarchawo se watate kondo shebe page tajar nyekare chiwami dabe chegortegiti ngone ta chu nguma chu seyade janjugi sem jindem baji sam rang yaw ta rang yawar rang jinjin kanje rang yawar torata mare nga 겨름 시승도 ngaranzu rangdon jiade rangdon jeda maji toni rangdon jibiyo di rangdon de ji yin yalwar toni rangdon jigido di kanji kyön dawo di rigo mare janju sebe ji yin to jeni 하나 아니 수수 상기 고방도 와 전주습에 런던 제야 되다 나랑저 런던 제니 베트가 ndagmi도 경고름 숨도 보다 대 숨도가라 가르친 거래 배나 단다 전주 맞수 냠는 얼마 제야 돼 전주기 센다 동의도 배 다와 있더니 개와 치마 캔도야 취제야 돼 얼마 등이 돈 찍고 가래 대 돈이 지연데가라 janjuki sem singende dumba nyindengi sem jela sikore dumba jen dungale kemde kin dumba chidang ani janjuni me bin dumba chi dumba nyindere ta jende tengir kin dumba sine jen dungal deya dungal ki dungal dan gyure dungal samare khaban duchi ki dungal deinde kala khaban duchi ki dungal 이지 중앙이나 아니 즉 터멘 자진 시야데니 균이메아다 지바 지경지 로라 잘해지 용게서래 인디가라 진데등이 눈바데기 규제 또 딘다웨 진된 제발라 단다 존레지나 루이니바기 투야여러 요 말에 디까지 찍어와 디 요아야 말 나랑 저길라 진동원에 푸드 중화지원라 진선 마시나 진딘치 투야 코라멜 소리 진딘 타르투버지 쉐발라 상기 고방 토부 상기 고방 투야 누구 민두 다디가라 셰랍기 트로치니 상기 고방 투베 에네페 심전 탐지리 유리기 누바요 바데 또 아니 장주기 아니 윤둠바데기 jen dungal kyomde kene pe dichi digala 니낭 밥이 니티 나와 나라 여러 숭숭도 학경 그런 것이기 아 가르사 니지기 셈전님이 있지 다 장주기 셈기 유마데 니지 제도라 니지기 셈전님이 있지 셈전 동안 견뎌들님이 대 자반도 주기 동안 대 견뎌들님이 아니 셔럽기 장주려면 세대가라 또 눈바데 셔럽 차대 셔럽이 차도 차대 이 상이 고방 더야 누구 믿고 어다 또 시디가라 셈케 생데 덴디샤 관지 셈케 코란라 아니 베 즉 셔럽기 쪼다 제베 아니 러비기 셈지도 딘두가라다 디다 떡모네 소 갸첨보사에 사야당 랍첨보사야 어다 덴디가라 가담베게 시도 숨길래 열어서 여름 중도 가담베게 시도 숨길라 아니 장주기 셈과나 초양 장주기 셈기 우건베 더블 초양 따랑기 소리 디반테 지용그레스 딘디가라 즉 사장 가르치바이나 장주기 셈 남한테 템바이나 랍첨보 주와첨보 거라 딘디가라 간지 다주니가 삼다니 소네 미다바 삼다나 간지 즉 장주기 셈곤데 아니 연라 장주기 셈고 배배 연라 조람 딘디기 탑실에 캡쳐가지고 고아래 그래서 왔다 대충 고아래
Continue with the reading on same page 32. Shri Jagat Mitra. In Tibetan, there's extra name here. Jagat Mitra Anand. Jagat Mitra Anand said in his letter to
Anando, Dina Anand yan.
La Dinando. Keshala said in his Tibetan text it doesn't have, but this one has.
Shri Jagata Mitra.
Jagat Mitra. So Sri Jagat Mitra said in his letter to Chandraraja, even if you possess the wealth of a god, in the next world, after your death, you will be as one attacked in a barren land, alone, deprived of princes and queens, with no clothes and bereft of friends, dispossessed of kingdom and castle, although you may have a great power and strength. Nothing is to be seen and nothing heard. Not one single person can follow you. In short, when not even your name will then exist, what else is there to say? Contemplating in this way how ultimately death is certain, its time is uncertain, and at that time nothing is of any help except the doctrine or dharma, resolve to practice it now. Within the holy doctrine or holy teachings or dharma, meditation on the awakening mind or altruistic mind or bodhicitta is the primary practice. Having ascertained this, everything will become a factor of the training in the awakening mind. So here, it really comes down to the importance of what we always they emphasize the importance of bodhicitta, altruistic mind or awakening mind or enlightened mind. And this altruistic mind, as His Holiness puts it in an easy way or in a simple way, it is basically, engaging in the practice of benefiting others or other cherishing thought, and he also mentioned about bodhisattvas, noble beings. The differences between their action and ours as an ordinary human being. When here we talk about benefiting, serving other beings, or practice of other cherishing thought, we are definitely not saying that you shouldn't be doing anything to your own self. When we talk about benefiting, other cherishing thought, that includes your own, benefits too. And the difference is that the bodhisattvas or noble beings, when they engage in other cherishing thought or this, altruistic mind, they do in such a way that they fulfill others' benefit as well as their own, benefit. But ordinary people like us, not knowing how to do it correctly, we engage in such act that we totally kind of sort of exclude serving or benefiting others, and it becomes sort of purely in absolute form of self-cherishing, the ego kind of oriented attitude and practice. So generally in Buddhism, when we talk about practice, we can say that practice mainly comes down to the practice of this altruistic mind and emptiness, understanding of emptiness. Again, when we look at this kind of the altruistic mind of bodhicitta, to sort of unpack it, to look at closely, what we find is it consists of two aspirations. Two aspirations. The first one being benefiting, helping, thinking about others, and so that is the the protecting others or serving others. That is the real cause, and then the accompanying factor or supporting factor is what we called wishing or desire to attain enlightenment. So when we look at these two, the components of the bodhicitta or altruistic mind or the awakening mind, the first one is really kind of understanding the nature of suffering of sentient beings and try to engaging in the sort of the act of helping others to separate them from suffering. And here, when we say suffering, among the three types of suffering, it really refers to the third type of suffering, that is conditioned suffering or pervasive suffering. And to make first one kind of accomplish successful, it doesn't happen at the level where we are at right now, at the ordinary level. So for that, we can do much better, say, for example, if you possess ability to understand or read other people's mind or other sentient beings' mind. But the ultimate, the highest way in order to fulfill completely or serve completely for other sentient beings is, the attaining of enlightenment for yourself. So that's how we see kind of this, the combination of two within the altruistic mind. The first one is the actual cause, that is, the benefiting others, and the second is accompanying factor, that is attaining of, desire to attain enlightenment. So these two really made, what we call altruistic mind. And under the second, wanting to attain enlightenment, and under that comes the whole aspect of wisdom. So if you ask yourself, I want to attain enlightenment. So along that comes, is attaining of enlightenment something possible, something feasible. And then we need to use all kind of logical understanding or reasoning, beginning with, the understanding of Buddha nature mind, possibility, potential. And so as His Holiness kind of quote from the text called Ninang, the dual appearances, in that for the this is actually a commentary to the sutra of perfection of wisdom or transcendental wisdom. There are many commentaries by many different scholars, and these are in a short way dual appearances. This is the commentary by Singhabhadra. Pawatolde is the Tibetan name, a great Tibetan name for this author, great Indian master, and he made the commentary. In that commentary, it talks about what we mentioned before, the really kind of the understanding of what we mean by altruistic mind. So the altruistic mind, it, as we mentioned earlier, it consists of two aspirations. The first one is the compassion, the compassionate part. The compassion kind of aims at other sentient beings, and then engage in the act of relieving their suffering, and that is what we mentioned, the actual cause. Look at other sentient beings, understand their suffering, and then among three different sufferings, the third one, pervasive or conditioned suffering, and really try to engage in the activities of relieving them from suffering. And in order to do that, you try to attain sort of maximum quality for yourself, and that is desire to achieve enlightenment for yourself. So what we see here in a very kind of basic fundamental way is it includes satisfying the needs of others as well as yours. So when we talk about altruistic mind, we are not talking about completely kind of sacrificing yourself and excluding yourself. It includes both benefits. So again, another thing what we see is when we talk about altruistic minded bodhicitta, it must be based or accompanied by wisdom, intelligence. It is not simply kind of good thought or emotion. And so here now we can come down to kind of one sort of conclusion. What we have studied so far in this textbook, under this section, beginning with the how sacred precious human life is and how difficult to attain, and we talk about all those greatness, and then immediately after that how impermanent the human life is, and under the impermanence of we talk about inevitability of death, uncertainty of timing of death, and then at the time of dying, only practice can help. So one conclusion that we can make is that these all actually bring down to the practice of bodhicitta itself. The altruistic mind, the importance of practice of altruistic mind or bodhicitta or awakening mind. So we will stop here for today, and then the next part of the section, the text deals with the one of the fundamental concept in Buddhism, cause and effect, or law of causality or karma.
chiwa mida basinginde 바람부리를 믿어 강가 찬연부리도 이래도 맞아 거로에 나라 지 가서 그래 우주 차만년바 고네다 데게 차만년바 망보여와 치와 mida 바페 되게 띠니치 샤바나지 군용래도 강가라 우르볼의 미세게 엄마래 주볼라 미세게 엄마래 뽐보 인스라 텔라 미세게 엄마래 라마 인스라 미세게 믿어 강가 즉 대단 레균데도 빼 미시바 다 차년보래 어떻게 인도가라 오늘 주대 삼로다 소시 치와데 진이 지야래 치와데 취재가 람가라 파이 귤투이나 즉 미다베 초거디 되니 펜다지 연구하러 도스네 때마다 이제는 깨야 잠체베는 땐 잡아니는 말이래 어떻게 인도가라 즉 가지 가절지 지단행의 아버지 제시게요 말이다. 아니 가지 가스 수수 미다발라 로가 쳐바디 다니 뒤를 단진지 아니 랑게 샘라 뇽문께를 마주지 단진지는 가서 뚝뚝지 지 샘데 거기 쳐라 지 장투가 중앙이 중앙이나 다된 거네 미다비 쳐거디 취재 답라는 뱅겨레스
the concept that we studied here, concept of impermanence, and then later we are going to look at the cause and effect precepts, and these are the things that that applies equally to every living beings. It brings all sentient beings at the same kind of platform. It doesn't matter what status you have attained, how wealthy you are, how educated you are, or how poor you are, your lama, Rinpoche or lama. These two applies equally, the death and dying, and cause and effect likewise we will later see. And so here, although Geshe-la said, he doesn't know how to explain it in a very sort of eloquent way, but we really have no choice but, has to go through the process of death and dying. So, as mentioned in the text, it's inevitable. So if that is the case, why not use that understanding into something that is really constructive, that is something meaningful, that is something beneficial for us? instead of this process of death and dying making us scared or fear, with understanding we can turn in such a way that this becomes something positive, constructive tools for us to make our life more meaningful, more beneficial. And with the understanding of impermanence, how we are changing momentarily, with that understanding, it should have a positive impact of, with the understanding of how, the impermanent momentary, we should be using our time in a very good way, in a wise way. And instead of, our mind being kind of too uncontrolled, we can this should be, forcing us to engage in more generations of positive thoughts, constructive thoughts, and more virtuous, So if we have that kind of positive impact, from studying and learning, then we are sort of getting the benefit of, studying this kind of text.
아니 때마인 바 그래서 여러분이 버기 자기나 친지 때는 다야 마인 라이프 니스땡아 바데 디지도
있어도
알아
있어도
니스도 바데 따따로 데바다 세파 당원이 가라서 나베체나는 데세데 시부지 코로와 칭제다 자교래 디지 디닝 엠빌 랑쇼 디주도라 미세기 달로 가면 안 게도 아니 가라서 다른 신께도서 텔레장 자라 밤에도 롱체 아니 숨부터라다 도스치긴데 망보지고 보아래 인상 세리바가 되게 통데 겸거는 뭐저 공골 줄 때도 달라 시우지 대반한 게도 어디 저지 딱이나 팬도용 그랬다 디 여름 뭐지 그냥 말해 님배 남배 개파 지그래 아니 치를베 가르쳤다 딘상기 세리바 미세기 사이콜로지다 아니 레츠 세리바 텐데기 가면한 것도 어때서 지 딱이나 아니 그 남배 중에 셰샤가다 때조다 분규 가서도 개파 팬도 지금 거로 그래서 일단은 빼야보는 거 좀.
And on top of what we have said, it's also helpful to visit His Holiness website right now. As you know, many of you know, the Mind and Life dialogue is the 26th one is going on. The topic that they have is craving, desire, and addiction. And in the dialogue, of course, there's His Holiness, presenting his Buddhist understanding. Along with the many, eminent kind of scientists, such as scientists of the brain, neurology. So with this kind of combined understanding, because these are what in Buddhism we study, the Buddhist psychology of craving or grasping or desire, attachment, and the addiction nowadays, we know how it is becoming a problem in our society, especially for the younger generation. So this should be something that helpful if you look at in terms of understanding from both Buddhist psychology as well as modern scientific way. So we'll stop.
Kari rave kurave shingamde pendang rewa manen chungene che singwa tenzin gyo jabe jite bardo tengyuchi jamba pawe jidra jambanda kondo sampo den deshende tega genge jezo daloji kewa tega tamje rabdo ngo jesum shaben jawa tamje ngo gangla chodo ngaba da jenge we zawa de gwenja sambo jeje rabdo ngo and sacrifice no white mountains, the source of all happiness and benefits. Those in person generously tensing Gyatso, remain into samsara and just as the body should come into which they attain omniscience, and summon the Vacha to. So now do I dedicate these rites to train
and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas are past, present, and future, praise education is supreme. So now I do dedicate this source of my merit for all beings to perfect good action.